Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Big golf weekend, PGA Tour back in Florida, Ponte Vedra, TPC Sawgrass, and what I thought was going to be a completely rained out weekend for me didn't turn out that way. The rain held off, got in a couple of rounds of golf, so let's get right into it. Did you watch the Players Championship? It's such a fun tournament to watch, such a fun course. I visited, Ponte Vedra, Florida, TPC Sawgrass, is about 4 hours north of where I live in South Florida. And last year in June, my son and I made a trip to Ponte Vedra and stayed at the Ponte Vedra Inn and Resort, where they have a couple of golf courses that we played. But we also got to TPC Sawgrass, and the first visit was just to visit and see the clubhouse, buy some merch. If you can make the trip, if you're ever in the area, I can tell you it is absolutely worth it. What a great place. A lot of history. They've got golf clubs from all of the prior winners, just the pictures and photos and artwork. And I've got to say, I don't know why this surprised me a little. It shouldn't, but the people were just so nice. It was just a great place to visit. And then I think it was our second day there, our last day there. We played a morning round of golf, had some time in the afternoon, and decided to look for tee times at Sawgrass. Unfortunately, at the moment, the stadium course, the one that you saw the pros play on over the weekend, was closed. But there's two courses there on the property, and the second one is Dyes Valley. And we were able to get out one afternoon and play Dyes Valley. And again, what a treat. Tremendous facilities. Would have loved to really have spent more time on the range, on the chipping green, putting. The course is just in such fantastic shape. And again, I can't stress enough, from the people, the cart girls, the starters, everybody there truly was so nice, made it such a pleasant experience. I think we were both a little intimidated going there, knowing, where we were going and what the history is, and that they play a professional golf tournament there. But I think that they're used to having tourists, having people come in who know it's a special day. They're going to spend quite a bit of money to go out and play one of those courses. And I think everyone, all levels, are welcome, from a scratch golfer to a 35 handicap. They truly made it a pleasant place to be. At one point, I think we were on the back nine on Dyes Valley. And I told my son, I said, I'm starting to get a little sad. And he's like, why? I said, because this is going to end. Like, it has been such a great day, such a good time to be out here. And obviously for me, cool to be out there with my son, but truly just a treat. So again, I'd say if you ever get the opportunity to visit, it is a great place, well worth your time. And if you can get out there and play a round of golf, I think it's worth the money. So the PGA Tour was there this weekend. And like I said, such a fun tournament to watch. Is it a tough course, but I love that 17 and 18. 17 is the island green. 18 is, if you watched it, I don't know how wide that fairway is, but water all down the left-hand side. The fairway looks like it's 30 or 40 yards wide, and there's really not a whole lot of room to bail out to the right. It's pine straw and trees. I can't imagine really either of those holes. Being on 17 in the midst of a run to win that tournament and having to hit that island green, and then moving on to 18, and what a tough drive that is to hit. But it's certainly, if you can get through there and you can keep your nerve together and you can win that tournament, you deserve it. So congratulations this weekend to Cameron Young, who won the Players Championship. And I'm sure he was nervous, but certainly appeared he was a stroke back going into 17. He was trailing Matt Fitzpatrick, and Fitzpatrick hit a good drive on 17, hit the island green, but left a lot of work. He left a long putt to make par, which he did. But Cameron Young, again, nerves of steel, hits a drive onto that island green that I believe is about 8 feet away and makes birdie to tie things up going into 18. They go to 18, and Cameron Young absolutely smokes a driver. And driver's an interesting club selection there. A lot of people earlier in the day had been hitting 3-woods. Hitting the fairway there is more important than hitting driver. I think the way those guys hit the ball, even if you hit a 3-wood well, you're leaving a relatively short, probably a wedge in. But give it to Cameron Young. I mean, he went out there and basically said, I'm going to win this tournament. I am not laying up. And he smoked driver. 375 yards into the fairway, the longest ball ever recorded on the 18th hole at TPC Sawgrass. What a moment. And then Fitzpatrick comes up and he hits a bomb. I believe his ball traveled about 350 yards. Unfortunately, he ran out of fairway. Ball ended up in the pine straw to the right, and he had to lay up where Cam Young could go for the green. Turns out that Young makes par, Fitzpatrick makes bogey, and Cameron Young, the winner of the Players Championship. But what a performance, and what a great ending couple of holes of golf. Just so enjoyable to watch. I hope you caught it, because it was a lot of fun. And man, I can't imagine. Again, I know these guys have been doing it forever. I know they're talented, but you're talking about on those last couple of holes having hit some pretty tight windows under a tremendous amount of pressure. And they both did. Fitzpatrick missed by a bit. It's really impressive. It's really impressive what those guys can go out there and do on weekends under the gun. I think even if you're a good golfer, man, go out there and be under that kind of pressure and have to hit that tee shot on 18 is not an easy thing to do. So impressed, enjoyed it, would love to get up there. Like I said, on our trip, the stadium course was closed. It is certainly on my bucket list. I do want to get to Ponte Vedra. I do want to play the stadium course. I will bring a lot of golf balls, because I'm guessing I'm going to rinse quite a few. But before all of that happened, I played a couple of rounds of golf too. Nope, didn't hit any 375-yard drives, did not hit any island greens, and did not win $4 million on the golf course. But had a good time. And as I mentioned earlier, I really thought all week long the weather forecast was pretty much rain all day Saturday, rain all day Sunday. And while we had tee times lined up, wasn't sure we were going to get them in. But woke up Saturday morning, not a cloud in the sky. That happens sometimes in Florida. And got out on Saturday to play golf. Jason, who I normally play with, was not around this weekend because he was in Ponte Vedra for the Players Championship. Haven't had a chance to talk to him, but I look forward to hearing what he has to say next week when he's back and what it was like to see that in person. So on Saturday, it was myself, Steve, and Al. And I haven't talked about Steve a whole lot. Steve plays with us pretty regularly. He certainly falls into a over 50 group. I think Steve's retired. He is small in stature. If you saw the two of us together, I would say Steve is about half my size. But I think he has a baseball background. And when he's hitting the ball well, he hits these rockets with driver that stay close to the ground. They'll carry probably 220, 230 yards, and they'll roll out another 30 or 40 yards. When he's hitting the ball well, other than young people who I've played with that are college golfers, or Steve can he can hit the ball a mile. And he was hitting the ball well this weekend. The other thing I'd say about Steve is, I don't know what his handicap is, but I would guess on any given day that we go out and play, like if we were going head to head, I would say Steve would probably need to give me 4 or 5 strokes. I'm just guessing, but I think that's probably the separation. He not a ton better, but does play better. But the thing with Steve is he is wildly hot and cold. And when he's hot, he makes birdies like no one I have ever seen. And when he's cold, he's kind of like the rest of us, and he can go out and make triples and quadruples and look like he's never played the game. But this weekend, he was on a heater. And I think he made, between the 2 days, between Saturday and Sunday, I think he made 10 birdies. He's unbelievable. Like when he gets going, he's attacking pins and leaving tap and putts for birdie like no one else that I've ever played with. So that's the way the day started on Saturday. Was Steve goes out, shoots 37 on the front on Saturday. I went out and shot 44 on the front. So not that we're head to head, but he's 7 strokes up on me through the first 9 holes. And then we make the turn onto the back, and things just started to go south for Steve. And I felt bad for him because, and I've talked about it on this podcast, that's been or was who I was for quite a bit of February, that I'd go out and put up a good number on the front and then completely blow up on the back. We get to the back and Steve was 3-putting from 8 feet, just couldn't figure out the speed on the greens. I felt bad for him because I know how it feels to go out and put up a good number on the front and see it all just drift away. So at the end of the day, Steve shoots 48 on the back for an 85. I shoot 40 on the back for an 84. So after just a blistering start, somehow I keep it together on the back and put up a better number than Steve. We go into Sunday, same group, myself, Steve, and Al, in a very similar start. Steve, again, he's making birdies, and he's not making a lot of pars. Somehow he makes birdies and bogeys, but shoots a 37 again on the front on Sunday to my 46, and a frustrating 46. I played relatively, I was playing bogey golf. Driver, which I've been hitting really well now for about a month, still hit well, making good contact, hitting the ball a good distance, but I just couldn't find the fairway. And on Sunday, it hurt me. Leaving it too far left, too far right, putting myself in trouble in the trees and places where I just don't have shots into the green. So go out, shoot 46 on the front. We make the turn to the back, and Steve puts up a triple on 10. And again, I know that feeling. It's so tough. And I told him, I was like, look, just relax. You're fine. You're going to do okay here. Don't worry about that. Think about how well you played on the front. And I'm confident. Today's your day. You're going to put together a good round of golf today. And he did. While he struggled a little bit on the back, it was Steve's day. He hit a couple of errant shots that hit trees and ended up on the green. It was just one of those days where the bounces went his way. And while he did struggle a bit on the back, he shoots 41 on the back for 78. And that's what this whole show's about, right? Well, it's about me trying to break 80, being over 50. But I was really excited for Steve. So he shoots 78 on Sunday. And man, he's a birdie machine when he gets going. And that really helps cure some of the evils, right? It erases some of the bogeys and the doubles when you're making 4 or 5 birdies around. And that's just who he was this weekend. So I was really excited for him. Did not catch him on Sunday. I shot 44 on the back for a 90. And that was a disappointing 44. Made double bogey on the 18th hole, a hole that I really played pretty well and was in good position to at least make a bogey to shoot 89. But it brings me to what made my golf weekend. And what made my golf weekend this weekend was my putting was absolutely on fire. So if we go back to Saturday, and what I said is Steve shot an 85, I shot an 84. Steve had 37 putts on Saturday. I had 26 putts on Saturday. And I followed that up with 28 putts on Sunday. My putter was on absolute fire over the weekend. And it wasn't that I was making long 30-foot putts. I don't know that I made anything outside of about 8 feet, but the key was I made everything inside of 8 feet. And when I was on a green and I had to 2-putt, even if I was 35 or 40 feet away, I hit great lag putts and I left myself a tap in. When I did not get to a green in regulation and I chipped or pitched on and left myself 8 to 10 feet, I just made everything. I did not miss a single putt until the 18th green on Sunday. I had, I think, 30 feet for par, downhill putt that I left. I think I left about 4 feet from the hole. And Steve and Al were both like, "That's good, man. You've been making those all weekend." And I said, "No, I feel like I need to putt this one out." And I missed it. I missed a 4-footer and 3-putted on the final hole of the day on Sunday. But really, really good putting weekend, which helped because my ball striking has not been really, really good. Like I said a little earlier, I'm hitting driver well. I'm making good contact. I'm just struggling directionally. And it's not that I'm hooking the ball or slicing the ball. It's really path. I mean, if you saw my drives, they're relatively straight. I'm trying to make corrections. I'll hit one right and then I'll try and correct and I'll hit one left. And I'm really having trouble finding middle. But again, I'm happy. Happy may not be the right word, but I'm happy to be making good contact. I really feel like I can work this out and I feel like I can start finding some fairways. The bigger issue has been my iron play, which historically has been the strength of my game. And right now it's not. And I am struggling to hit greens in regulation when I legitimately should be. It's not that I'm not hitting a green in regulation because I'm behind a tree and I've got to lay up and I've got to do something crazy. I've got a shot into the green. Nothing, maybe I'm in the first cut of rough. Maybe I'm in the fairway and I'm 120 yards out. I'm just not hitting greens. And I'm not missing by a mile. Frequently, what definitely helps my putting statistics is that I am missing close. I'm on the fringe and quite often using putter. I'm not chipping, pitching. I'm putting up onto the green, which helps. It helps then to leave the ball in a proximity where I can one putt. So on Saturday, I had 10 1-putts and 8 2-putts. Sunday, I followed it right back up with 9 1-putts, 8 2-putts, and the one unfortunate 3-putt. But again, back-to-back rounds with less than 30 putts it's really good. To give that some frame of reference, and I went on the internet, did a little bit of research, and there's varying numbers on here, but I will attach the articles that I used for these numbers that say, on average, a scratch golfer takes 29.9 putts per round. Again, remember, I had 26 on Saturday and 28 on Sunday. A 5 handicap is 30.3 putts. 10 handicap is 31.2 putts. 15 handicap is 32.1. A 20 handicap is 33.4. So basically, over the weekend, I was putting better than a scratch golfer, but I still put up rounds of 84 and 90. So that, the flip side, shows how inaccurate my ball striking was. Something that I have got to correct. But even so, I am off to, I went back to the spreadsheet that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, and I put January's rounds into the spreadsheet so that I could have January, February, and now March, and wanted to go through those numbers a little bit. So in January, I played 10 rounds of golf, and my average score was a 93.6. In February, I played 10 rounds of golf and got a little better, my average score at 93.5. And let's see, the best score that I carded in January was an 87. The best score that I carded in February was also an 87. And I talked about that I had been really frustrated with my golf game early this year, that I felt like late last year, things had really come together and I was more consistently putting up rounds in the 80s. But January and February were a struggle. As we go into March, I've played 4 rounds of golf so far. And through those 4 rounds, my average score is 87.25. So that's a full 6.25 strokes better than my rounds were in February. Now, there's a long way to go. I'm sure I will get 10 rounds in. Things could certainly go south. But I have 2 rounds in the month of March. I have an 84 and an 85 that are better than any of the rounds that I shot in January and February. And on the high side, the worst scores I've put up so far in March are not, I've shot 90 twice, where in January, I shot 101. In February, I had a total disaster and shot 105. So off to a much better start in the month of March. But here's the number that, if I'm going to break 80, here's the number that I have got to figure out. And I'm going to go back, same thing. I'll post a link to this article in the show notes. But let's talk about greens in regulation. On average, a scratch golfer hits 11 greens in regulation per round. A 5 handicap hits 7.5. A 10 handicap hits 6. A 15 handicap hits 4. And a 20 handicap hits 2.5. So far this year, in January, I averaged 3.2 greens in regulation per round. That improved in February to 3.7. But in March, I'm averaging 3.25 greens in regulation per round. My best number being a 7 in a round that I played on March 1st. And then this past Sunday, I hit 0 greens in regulation. And that's an amazing thing, right? I shot a 90 both days. I shot a 90 on March 1st. I shot a 90 on March 15th. One round I hit 7 greens in regulation. The other round I hit 0. The difference there is on March 1st, 37 putts. On March 15th, 28 putts. So so far for the month of March, I'm averaging 30.5 putts per round, which based on this article puts me in the neighborhood of being a 5 handicap. And it is a good 2.5 putts less than January and February. So I've got to find a way to keep the putting magic happening, but I have also got to find a way to start hitting more greens in regulation. And in my mind, I need to be averaging. So again, a 10 handicap averages 6 greens in regulation per round. That's where I need to be. That's my target, is to average 6 greens in regulation. That's average. That may mean that some rounds I hit 8, and it may mean that some rounds I hit 2. But if I am going to go out and I'm going to break 80, and I saw it with Steve this weekend, I'll have to ask him. I'll have to ask him next weekend. But the number of times that, again, he hit it would be his second shot on a par 4 or his third shot on a par 5 to a place where he had a birdie putt, a reasonable, call it inside of 8 feet for birdie. He had a bunch of them this weekend. I think I had one, and I made one birdie this weekend. I've got to start hitting more greens. And if I do, I think I can find a way to keep my putting together and to score better. So let's start and let's talk about putting for just a minute. And what did I do differently this weekend? I don't know that I did a lot differently, but I definitely had a couple of thoughts in mind. So one was going back to the book, was to take the time to really look at the putt and not just look at it from the side of the hole that the ball is on, to walk the green, look at it from every side, look at the way the green is sloping, and then also look at the grain and how the ball is going to move near the cup. And this was a huge help that I didn't know, that Reggie told me this. And he said, when you're on the green, you walk up, you look at the hole, there's almost always going to be one side of the hole that has some frayed grass on that edge of the hole. Whatever edge that is the direction that the grain is moving. When water flows across the green, that's the direction it flows. So if I'm standing below the hole and the left side of the hole has some of that frayed grass, the ball's going to move left. The grain's going to move left. Sometimes you have to, figure out grain and slope and where the ball is going to go. But at the hole, that really helped. And I helped Steve a couple times out over the weekend because he would have a putt and he'd tell me, I have no idea where this is going. And I was doing the same thing for him. I'm walking the green and said, look, here's what I see. I would play it. I wouldn't give up the hole. I'd play it right edge because at the hole, it's going to move a little left. And he made a couple of big putts that I think my caddying helped this weekend. And I figured out that I'm probably a better caddy than a golfer at this point. So maybe I should stop golfing and I should start caddying. But I do think that I've gotten better at reading greens, and I think that has helped my putting. Number 2, really taking time to line up the ball for the putt. So I've been playing the Callaway triple track balls, and they have the lines drawn on the balls. I do also have a ball marker that I can use. So if I have a ball that doesn't have lines, I can draw lines on it. But I see a lot of people out there that do not line up their putts. They just, now they may be picking a spot on the green that they're putting over, but I take the time to line up the ball so that I can get it started on the right line. And there's times where honestly, I'm a little self-conscious about it because I'll set the ball down, pick up my ball mark, I'll do a quick lineup, and I have bad knees, so I have a hard time squatting down behind the ball. So I need to take 3, 4, 5, 6 steps back behind the ball so I can really see if it's lined up where I want it to be. If it's not, I walk back up to the ball. Usually it's a microscopic little move, right or left. I'll take another 6 steps back. I'll look at it again. And there's times I might go through that process 3 or 4 times. And it doesn't have to be a long putt. On a 4, 5, 6 foot putt, I'm doing this because I want to get the ball started on the right line. And again, there's times where I feel self-conscious about it, and I'll hit the putt knowing that it's not lined up properly, but I'll go into it thinking it's lined up a little further right than I'd like, so I'm just going to hit it a little more left. I'm telling you, at least for me, that doesn't work. I need to take the time to line the ball up exactly where I think I want to hit it to hit the right line. So once I get the ball lined up, then I dress the ball, but pull my putter back and I look at the hole. Again, this was another suggestion from Reggie. I look at the hole while I'm taking practice strokes and trying to measure speed. And looking at the hole while you're taking those practice strokes, I do think helps your brain figure out how hard you want to hit the ball. The other thing that I've been working on is giving some thought to, while I want to make every putt, that's not going to happen. If I miss, where do I want to miss? My preference generally would be to have an uphill putt coming back. So a lot of times on downhill putts, when I'm not putting the ball well, let's say I've got 20 feet downhill putt and I'm so afraid to hit the ball that I hit it too soft and it only goes 10 feet. And now I still have a 10-foot downhill putt breaking left that I need to make, a really tough putt. So the change in mindset there has been, I've got to get this to the hole. And if I miss and it goes by the hole a little bit, I'm going to see the break as it goes by the ball. And as the ball goes by the hole. And largely what I'm going to end up with, unless my speed is just way off, if my speed's decent, I'm going to end up with a putt straight back up the hill, because on the downhill, the ball is going to turn, it's going to break. And what you're going to be left with is a straight putt back up the hill. And I think that has really helped on the 2 putts, is giving consideration to, if I do miss, where do I want to miss this? It helped. It helped this weekend. And I know one weekend, 2 rounds of good putting doesn't mean anything. I could go back out next weekend and have, 40 putts on Saturday and 40 on Sunday. But I really felt, I was feeling so confident over the ball all weekend long. And it was because of, back to the book, I had a process and I followed the process. And I trusted that if I followed the process, I was going to hit a good putt. And for the most part, I did. So my suggestion there is, have lines on your ball, line up your putts, work on reading the green, which is the slope of the green and the grain of the green. Those two have to work together. And then it just comes down to speed. The other piece that backing way up is, before I go out and play, I always hit the putting green. I always take some practice putts, and my focus is on the practice green is speed. If I don't make every putt, I don't make every putt. My thought is, was my speed good? Because on the practice green, I am not lining up every putt. I'm not taking that kind of time, but I want to dial in speed. I want to feel like, yep, speed was good there. Speed was good there. And as long as the greens on the course mirror the greens on the practice greens, and you dial in that speed a little bit, I do think it helps when you get out there to play. So didn't know I was going to do that today, but that's some of my thoughts and putting tips. But my bigger problem, as I just discussed earlier, is, how do I hit more greens in regulation? And there's a couple of things there. Is one, I've been working a lot on driver, pitching, and chipping, and I have not been practicing and hitting my irons as often. So I'm going to start to turn that back around. I'm going to practice. I'm going to hit irons more and see if I can't find that groove a little bit to where I am hitting my irons better. Two, as all good golfers do, I went out and spent some money today. And I've thought about this for a long time, and I'll be interested to see how it goes, and we'll absolutely report back on the podcast. But I use on the golf course a handheld rangefinder to shoot the flag. And that's what I use for my distances. Now, I'm not always attacking the flag. I have an idea if the flag is towards the back of the green, the front of the green. And while I may shoot that the flag is 150 yards away, that's not always my target distance based on, do I think it's center, front, back? But I do believe it's a potential flaw, a potential opportunity to make mistake in my golf game. So today I went out and I ordered a shot scope handheld GPS device that has a magnet on it, be able to put it on the golf cart. And when I roll up to a shot, it will give me exact numbers that say the front of the green is 120 yards, the middle of the green is 140 yards, the back of the green is 160 yards. And I'll be interested to see if that helps, because I'm looking for the middle of the green. If I want to hit more greens in regulation, it's all about finding the middle of the green, not attacking the edges. And I don't know. I think it might. I think having those numbers may help me. The other thing that went on over the weekend, which I thought was a good thing, is while my driver was a little wild, I have gotten better at, I hit my tee shot, it's too far off to the right, I've got trees in my way. So there are a couple of different shots I can think about over the weekend where I had no direct line to the green because I had trees in the way. In the past, I probably would have just bumped the ball out into the fairway and then hit my next shot. But I had a couple of opportunities over the weekend where didn't have a direct line at the green, but was a distance, let's say I was 160 or 170 yards out from the green, and could start the ball 30 or 40 yards left of the green and try to hit a fade and bring it back in. And I did that successfully. Now, didn't hit the green, but got up to the ball, surveyed what was going on, thought, okay, I've got to start it to the left of this tree. I'm going to start it 30 yards left of the green. I'm going to hit a fade here, and I'm going to fade it back into the green. And while I started at 30 yards left, I ended up landing it on the fringe, and this is one of those holes that I made par on. On another occasion, exactly the opposite, hit a ball, had tree trouble, did not have a direct line to the green, had to start a ball 30 yards right of the green. And so I had a conversation with Steve. I could have gone in two different directions. I could have started the ball 30 or 40 yards left of the green or 30 or 40 yards right of the green. And he said, man, there's more room out there to the left. And my response was not really, because if I hit it too far left, there's water to the left. There's also a bunker on the left side of the green. If I hit it right and I try and hit a draw, and let's say I don't draw, I hit the ball straight, doesn't come back, there's still open ground over there. Basically, it would have been on the tee box for the next hole. So stood behind the ball, had a plan in my mind on what kind of shot I wanted to hit, what kind of shot shape, and hit a really nice draw that, again, didn't get to the green, but while I started at 40 yards right, I landed on the fringe and was putting from the fringe, put one within about 8 feet of the hole, and made a par putt. So that's a new wrinkle to my game, being able to try and hit different shot shapes when I do not have a direct line to the green. And absolutely saved me strokes this weekend. While I did not hit greens in regulation, it put me in position where I could still get up and down for par. So maybe I'm crazy, or maybe I'm just the same golfer that we all are. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful after these first 4 rounds in the month of March that the golf game I had late last year is beginning to return. Hitting driver better, putted the ball, lights out. I know I can hit my irons. I'm not hitting them real well right now, but I believe I can dial them back in relatively quickly, and I can find my golf game, and I can consistently get back into the 80s. And when the stars and the moons align and everything comes together, I'm going to take a crack at finding around in the 70s. So I think that's it for this week. I have hope, and I hope you do too. That may just be that you're hopeful and you're looking forward to getting out and being back out on the golf course as winter passes by, or you've gone through your own struggles, and we have to, right? We have to find hope. There's no reason to go back out there if we don't have hope. It can be a really frustrating game. But for me, I see signs of life in my golf game. And you've heard some of my podcasts where I wasn't seeing them. And again, it has been pretty frustrating. But I do think maybe I've turned a corner. Things are starting to turn back around. And I can't wait. I can't wait to get back out, play golf next weekend, and let you know, did my hot putting continue? Did I find my irons again? Does my new GPS device help in getting me distances so that I hit more greens? But I've got to hit more greens in regulation. That's the goal. I'd like to be averaging 6 greens in regulation per round. I think I can do it, and I'm going to keep working at it. So thanks for being here. Again, congratulations, Cameron Young. Really impressive win at TPC Sawgrass. And again, like I said before, hope is in the air. Thanks, everybody. If you made it this far, thank you. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you hung in there for the whole show. If you enjoyed it, please rate, review, and subscribe. And maybe even share it with a friend who is out there on their own golf journey. If you listen on Spotify, leave a comment or a question, or send me an email at breaking80over50@gmail.com. I promise I'll read every one. All music was provided by Epidemic Sound. I'll leave links to any of the content that I mentioned in the show notes. Keep swinging, keep smiling, and remember, it's a game. Get out there and have fun. Thanks, everybody.